Alright, chat. Here is Dagger, Sun's Radiance. There is definitely a lot radiating off of her curvatures on her abs. I will never get over the fact that her abs are... Wait a second. That's right. Dagger means day. Note means night. So that means she's a light blessed hero, and Note's gonna be the dark blessed hero.
Yeah, so the Pathfinder will be an exclusively light dark season thing. At least for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, for the I hope they include that in the future because that's such an interesting concept. But I'm glad, because I was worried they were just gonna make this the Aether offense thing. Because if it was, you're missing. Again, I think this is best served on Aether defense. I think you can make so many cool things happen on Aether defense by using Pathfinder's ability to nullify movement costs.
Yeah,
on that one block.
Again, my assertion is always that you can make more mobility out of like armored tanks or just tanks in general that need to get to the front line without smite.
Yep.
But well, you can't always guarantee
you can grind on those ABS.
you'll be able to make that position.
You can grind many things on those abs. She'll make bodybuilders. Here's the thing. I think Dagger is like what, 6'4" or something. She's ginormous.
9 months
Shindiz!
As always, enjoy watching your content. Nims keep at it, Nim cheer.
Thank you so much, Shin. Alright. But continuing on with Dagger, with 41 HP, 39 attack, 41 speed, 30 defense, and 25 res, we have possibly the most offensive... Well, actually, we'll do the comparison later. But possibly the most offensive Mythic. That's up for debate. But here's the thing. The reason why I really like her having so much attack and speed is because her weapon doesn't give a crap about penalties. So she's your perfect soak for offensive shrines and offensive debuffs. Yeah.
More so than, well, she would be essentially the better Naga for the light season as long as you're just focusing on shrine soaking.
Yeah.
And of course her weapon is designed for that.
Yep. I feel like people are understating how good that is. It's literally I don't want to say the meme, but it's literally free real estate. Because the reality is just like that debuff just improves your offensive spread, and then she can just destroy things.
Yeah, I mean, the way I'm seeing it is she's going to basically be a shrine soaker that has combat potential because of it, rather than trying to intentionally just make your unit worse because you're not going to do anything with them.
Right, because if you guys recall, Milla, for example, after turn 1, despite how high her defense and res is, it's usually completely shot. So there's no real point in using her. Like, she's soaking it up so your other heroes don't deal with it, but in terms of using her as a defensive hero, unless you're like tanking like dancers or something, it's dangerous. She's pretty vulnerable with her low speed.
Yeah, and there's no Def-Res bond for Def-Res Unity yet, so you kind of have to pick and choose how you're using her bulk.
Yep. Alright, with that said, what are the Superboons, Superbanes, whatnots?
Alright, so Dagger is a 176 BST Axe Infantry with HP, Defense Superbanes, and Attack Speed Res Superboons. Every stat has something to give or take this time.
That's why I wanted to wait until today before we talked about the hero like in depth, because I felt like there's probably be something quirky about her.
Yeah, I mean, those Attack Speed Superboons are still there, which is pretty insane. The Res Superboon I find to be quite interesting.
Also, as an addition, because I'm going to start doing this every single time going forward, chat, I'm going to be polling everybody to see what they think of Dagger, or any other new mythics or legendaries going forward. So, alright chat, in our community tab, I asked you guys, how good is Mythic Dagger? And to my surprise, look at that. I'm surprised. I thought people would be a lot bigger fans of her. 17% of you guys think she's S tier, and this is off of 4.1k votes. That's a lot of votes. 17%, only 17% of you guys think she's S tier. 66% of you guys think she's A tier. Even 12% of you guys think she's B tier. And there are some real big haters right now. 4% of you guys think she's D tier. Wow.
I mean, I won't blame them from the respect either of OC Mythic or the fact that it's a combat Mythic, but still, ouch.
But for me, I think the reality is anywhere from A, B, S abs. Anywhere from abs, I think.
Anywhere from abs.
I think is
Welcome
fair.
full circle.
Yeah.
I personally think at least, I don't know. A might be a fair assessment. I mean, I'm not exactly sure of the full potential of Pathfinder yet. I haven't really given it a lot of thought.
I agree. That's the thing. I think Pathfinder is where the majority of her utility is, and we're gonna have to see if she lives up to that. So I feel like A tier is very much fair. Again, one of the most offensive mythics when it comes to offensive stat spreads, and if the fact that she's just like Fallen Ike, not worried about debuffs, gives her quite a bit of utility. It's actually really much. If she had damage reduction and the ability to not worry about damage taken, she's literally just green Fallen Ike in a way, but because she's,
I mean,
you
Fallen
could
Knight
do
doesn't
it.
even run that anymore. You could. Fallen Knight doesn't usually run damage reduction though on a max invest because his bulk just gets ridiculous off Unity.
Yeah, off of Unity and the fact of matter that he has a distant counter in his weapon as well, so it doesn't quite work as well for Dagger.
Not to mention, of course, to say nothing, the fact that she is the Mythic. That's the main problem that'll
Yeah, no
always be
extra
there,
stats
is
as well.
you at like 10, 15 HP, which is a lot. But still, she could definitely emulate something that he would be trying to do, especially with damage reduction, if she wanted.
Yep. Anyways, in that case, I will give a quick reminder. Guys, she has Skin Faxi, speed +3, and Pathfinder. At start combat, if unit's HP is over 25%, grants attack speed, defense res +5, and bonus to attack speed, defense res during combat. Because current penalty on each of those stats ×2. So the example they gave was if you have a -7 penalty on attack, it becomes attack +19, because the 7 turns into 14 positive, and then +5 from the base weapon, and then the -7 on the penalty still turns into attack +12. Each stat is calculated independently. In other words, she can get, if she's debuffed by everything, she'll just get everything, extra stats.
So, for example, if you take a Bright Shrine into a Dagger 7 debuff, then you would effectively be getting, say, +7 to all stats, or +8 attack speed, +7 def res.
Yeah.
It really depends on the circumstances.
Yeah.
On top of the fact that she just gets a free +5 to all of her stats, a la Aaron Bar or Win Parthia.
Yep. It's, the potential is incredible, depending on how the battle breaks down. But that's the reason why, like, I really, because if you're, okay, not everyone runs the double towers, but if somebody does run double towers and you could take advantage of that to really make Dagger like the main character, like the main hero sweeping the enemy team.
Oh,
it just,
absolutely.
yeah, like, she has the potential. It's just the setup. You need the right setups, not just from yourself, but from your opponents to make this work.
Right. I will say it's very, very difficult to even get her remotely close to soaking Dark Shrines. You have to focus daggers or something like that.
Yeah. 30 defense, 25 res is kind of rough, so.
It's not bad. It's actually pretty decent, all things considered, but it definitely will not soak penalties.
But the most important thing is Pathfinder. When an ally moves through unit space, that space is counted as 0 spaces moved instead of 1 space. Which is funny, because the reality is it's not even 1 space. It can count as more than 1 space. Because breaking through, for example, ditches or trenches, that's not really 1 space, you know?
Yep.
So the wording is kind of funky, but the reality is, like, it could give you a value of greater than 1.
Just
because
nullifies the terrain itself.
Yeah, she nullifies the terrain. Yeah, that's a better wording.
Of course, the one thing to mention is that if your unit physically can't pass through that terrain, then it won't matter.
Yeah.
You can't use that. So, like, for example, you can't use cavalry to go over forest tiles by Pathfinder.
That would have been really cool, but yeah, it's a bit goofy. I still think it's weird that cabs can't pass through forest, but yeah, that's fair, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, for Ether Raid's purposes, it's basically not even worth talking about. This,
Right.
I think
Nobody really uses the forest map except the people who aren't serious.
Exactly.
Alright. Additionally, she has Dragon Fang. Does not matter. You're going to replace that. Honestly, if you're serious about using Dagger, I would use a 2 cooldown special. I think she hits hard enough, but just make sure you kill whatever you attack. Pretty important.
Yeah. For our offense mythics, I usually end up suggesting, like, Glimmer or Moonbow.
Right. Right.
She can technically Gale Force, but that might take a seal that you don't want to give her.
Yeah. The thing, if you do Gale Force her, it's probably Flashing Blade. Her speed is incredible with Attack Speed Feint and Sun Twin Wing augmenting her speed. well, dropping her opponent's speed and giving herself speed, and Skin Faxi doing the same thing. We calculated this yesterday. How fast does she get?
So between her signature skills, she's getting a whopping 13 extra speed to hit 54. With her A slot giving an extra 7, that is 61. Base.
61 speed at base.
And that's all assuming that she is above 25% health, because funnily enough, even Push relies on the same HP threshold.
Yeah.
So as long as she's above 25% HP, she has 61 base speed, and if you penalize her, she just reverses that penalty.
Yeah. So it's really, really hard to stop her from outspeeding you, is the point. So I guess if you do want to do Gale Force with Flashing Blade, it's not that difficult. She'll basically guaranteed to pull it off.
Yeah. And fortunately, she can actually run Flashing
Yes.
Blade, unlike a certain other very fast offense mythic.
Okay, don't you bring her up. We'll talk about her later. The other thing is, Gale Force with Even Tempest I think is pretty good. It does make some sense.
Oh yeah. Make no mistake, even Tempest is going to see some pretty decent use for the mobility aspect.
Yeah.
I think.
Alright, aside from that, Sun Twin Wing. At start of combat, if units' HP is over 25%, inflicts speed defense -5 on foe, and also neutralize effects that guarantee foes follow-up attacks and effects that prevent units' follow-up attacks during combat. AKA, null follow-up with speed defense -5. Sun Twin Wing is actually really, really good. I know a lot of people are arguing that should have been like a C skill instead of a B skill, because they really want to run repel or some damage reduction based utilizing that speed. While you can utilize spurn or something like that, yeah, that's a very good skill in Sun Twin Wing. That's just a supercharged null follow-up.
Yeah, and make no mistake, null follow-up is one of the most meta skills out there to this day.
Yep.
You can't really go wrong with it.
Yep. So it's a bit unfortunate, but yeah, if it was a C skill and then she can run damage reduction, she really would be shining. Like, you could, at that point, like, make a legitimate argument she could be the main tank by giving her distant counter. Like, that...
Yeah. That wouldn't even be a hard dispute, especially on bonus.
Yep. But fortunately, she's pretty fair, and as most people pointed out, she's probably B tier. Sorry, A tier. With some people I'm thinking B tier. Yeah, I feel like that's fair rankings. It really just depends on how well used Pathfinder, because I don't really think... I think ideally she doesn't fight very much. I think in a Gale Force team she might serve a purpose there, but in general, like, she should just be there to soak towers and to be there... I mean, she can offer up quite a bit offensively, but she's not like the focus of the team.
Yeah, no, not by any stretch. Make no mistake, no mythic should ever be the focus of the team, even Bramimond, realistically.
I mean, we talked about that back in the day, like Naga, right? Buff everybody with her C slot and then just use that to give her a bunch of stats, and nobody ever did it.
I mean, to be fair, that weapon is still ridiculous. Plus $9 stats, really. But yeah, her HP is everything, and Naga in particular only has 39, I think. So
Yeah.
good luck with that.
Yeah. All right.
Some better here.
So I would talk about builds, but there really isn't any. I would say I wouldn't bother with this encounter. I'm sorry. Like, I think it could work if you commit hard enough.
I think this encounter's fine if you don't want to get caught off guard.
Right.
If you want to just have the opportunity to prevent the AI from just getting a free shot.
True. I mean, even without attack speed push, she would still have 54 speed. So
yeah,
you're not
and that's
that worried.
based.
That's based.
You can run a solo or something if you're really worried about it, but especially with Bright Sign soaking being as easy as it is, you're probably still going to get the penalty buff, so who cares?
The other thing I can argue for is perhaps Fury, just from the perspective of just in case you run another unit with more attack and more speed, so that she's not doing her job as a soaker.
Yeah, exactly. I definitely say it's a bit team dependent as far as whether or not you need to give her Fury or Life and Death.
Yeah.
Like, you don't need to run Life and Death Seal depending on what you're running, but like I said, depends. Fortunately, she boosts res, so you're not going to have to worry as much about her being the one that stops the Bright Trend from working.
True.
But Peony boosts speed, so
okay,
can't be too safe.
So yeah, in terms of A slot, that's it. This encounter of Fury is how I suggest it. But in terms of special, it's either Moonbow Glimmer, or you can try Gale Force on her. But that's about it. I really wouldn't remove Even Tempest, because I feel like it allows her to keep up, right? With Pathfinder, units behind her can move further ahead, but she's not gonna keep up all the time without something like Even Tempest.
Right. And I mean, yes, you can make the argument, for example, to just run Odd Tempest, because then you'd be able to go in on Bolt Tower turn, but do you really want to do that?
I would argue you probably, because if it's a hero like Dagger with like Flashing Blade, going in on Bolt Tower turn might be bad, because she'll probably not charge it up.
Well, it depends. If you want her to be able to set up so that on the Bolt Tower turn somebody can get in offensively and pull out through Pathfinder, it might be a little touch and go.
Ah, okay, true.
Like, for example, if you want to run Linja and get a kill, use her dance, and pull back through Pathfinder so she's actually behind Dagger after that,
That's fucking
it'd be
disgusting.
a little difficult.
That's
Yeah.
disgusting. No.
Yeah, that's an option that anybody can do now.
I don't like that. But yeah. Jeez, that's so dumb. Because then once Linja pulls back, it's just a slow chip away, just slowly picking them apart. And of course, Dagger can help there a lot too.
And there's nothing they can do about it. And even if Dagger has to be the one in combat, it's not like she's dead on arrival because of that ridiculous bulk she can give herself.
Yeah.
Plus no follow-up.
Yeah. Alright, let's do some comparisons. And let's start with my girl, Freya, because that's immediately the hero I think of when I see high attack, high speed.
And green Mythic.
Light Mythic. Jeez, it all lines up perfectly.
It's funny now that we have 3 fast green physical mythics, but yeah, for Freya specifically, keeping in mind that Freya is a Cavalier, she is 168 BST, so 8 less BST. Freya has 1 less HP, 1 less attack, 3 more speed, 6 less defense, and 3 less res.
Yeah, that defense and res. That's most of the points, because Dagger with Emerge reaches 180, right? So
yeah, she can hit 180 with one of 3 Superboons, so it's pretty easy. Fortunately, Freya can effectively hit 175 because of Binding Necklace. But on the other hand, because of Dagger's Perf B, she can also hit effectively 185, so...
It's funny because they both work in that Gale Force comp as well. Same idea.
Yeah. A lot of what you could say for Freya works with Dagger, but the big thing is that Freya has damage reduction, whereas Dagger just has actual bulk. And no follow-up.
Well, Freya also has this encounter, right?
Yeah, Freya also comes with disencounter because her weapon is obscenely stacked. Though she doesn't have any of the plus $5 stats or penalty.
That's funny. Wow, they're still similar. Because Freya wants you to have the buffs, so she can use it against you.
Yep.
Dagger wants to be debuffed, so she can use it against you. That's funny.
And I will say this. In the Ether Raids meta, one of those is a little easier to do than the other.
Right.
Given that buffs are very uncommon in defense these days.
Yeah.
Freya's Binding Necklace is not the easiest thing to pull off.
Right.
Whereas because of shrines, ploys, Triandra, whatever, penalties are almost...
Wait a second. I'm pissed. I think Dagger's better. Like, it just fits most teams. Well, having DC is pretty important, but Pathfinder fits most teams better. And in terms of offensive spreads, they're very similar.
Nope. I will fully assert Dagger is much better, at least in Ether Raids, than Freya. I think Freya still has some very scary potential that some people might even underrate a little bit. But no, I definitely think Dagger is better. I will say, though, if you really want to get funny, you could run a Gale Force comp running Freya Dagger, because Freya would get 4 spaces of movement through Pathfinder.
Yeah.
So then you can use Freya as the Wings of Mercy beacon after getting hit, because her bulk is so bad.
And technically, Freya fits a lot of Gale Force teams better, because she gives attack, right? So she's good for...
Yeah, she also gives attack, which is a really nice buff.
Yeah.
On top of having that beast impact weapon, so she can be a little easier to use in some ways.
Yep. Catherine.
I could. Catherine is actually very similar spread-wise. Let me pull her up. And then I'm going to go back to Mythics for 1 second. Okay, so Catherine, keeping in mind, just came out late last year. She is the same BST. Catherine has 2 more HP, equal attack, equal speed, equal defense, and 2 less res.
Wow. It's okay.
Yeah, it's just Catherine. It's just Catherine with a little bit of a change in HP res, I guess.
I mean, they both seem like pretty muscular girls, so I guess it makes sense.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. So, yeah. It's not a bad place to be. I honestly argue that Catherine is one of the best stat lines of offensive units. It's just that her weapon's so player face oriented, it's hard to use.
Mm-hmm.
But good for Catherine, honestly.
Yep.
The other one I want to, of course, look at within the same 2 seasons would be Hell.
Ah, true.
So Hell is an Axe Flyer, Dark Mythic. So they might meet a lot between Dagger and Hell. Hell has 167 BST, so 9 less BST. She has 1 less HP, 1 less attack, equal speed, equal defense, and 7 less res.
Mostly in res then. Ah.
Yeah. It's one of it's Hell's only real weakness, so of course it goes to show that's where her BST falls. But she holds up pretty well otherwise, considering, flyer stats and whatnot.
Yep. That's impressive. Okay.
Yeah. No, I'm actually...
Also, that opens my mind to like how we keep getting fast attack, like high attack, high speed green units as Mythic.
Oh yeah. It's surprising because there was a time where that wouldn't even be possible. Like, green used to be considered the slow type, but it seems like now they're just saturating with fast. I mean, just for sake of reference, among Axe Infantry, Dagger is now the fastest, beating out the likes of Valentine's Alm and Ninja Hana at 40 base.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
Yeah. I will get to some of the Axe Infantries in just a moment, but let's, as a quick diversion, just to put into perspective where Dagger's speed ends up. So Freya, of course, has 44 base speed. Her weapon puts her to 47. Her A slot puts her to 54, being attack speed solo. And then Binding Necklace puts it up to an effective 58 between the +2 and -2 speed, with the ability to steal the foe speed buffs. So 58 speed for Freya. Meanwhile, Dagger starts at 41, 44 off her weapon, 49 with its effect, 56 off her A slot, and then 61 off her B slot. So, in effect, Dagger is actually faster than Freya, as far as that goes.
Yeah, that's the thing that came to me. The only thing is, how do you value Pathfinder or having this encounter? So if your Freya fights very often, then I don't think you're gonna miss that. Well, you're gonna miss that with Dagger because if it's just harder to deploy Dagger against ranged units than Freya. But if Freya never fights for you anyways, then Dagger is just a direct replacement that's way better.
Pretty much. And of course, again, you can just run DC Dagger, because Freya's DC is kind of augmented by the fact, well, kind of has going against her the fact that she has no bulk. So tanking those shots isn't exactly very easy, while Dagger can have bulk to spare. So that's one thing to know.
And also, of course, that's a beast unit, that's a cav unit versus an infantry unit. You would rather take the infantry in terms of not worrying about weaknesses.
Yeah, pretty much. It's not exactly very easy for me to justify Freya over Dagger at this point. I'll just put it that way. Our other res, and just for sake of our other res Light Mythic, by the way, is Air, and in some ways I'd argue Dagger even does better at that role than Air. But you can run.
That's interesting, yeah.
Pathfinder versus Guidance support, and unless you're running Air Force, you have Ninja Force.
It depends because, okay, first of all, Lin Force is, dual Lin's way better than Air. I don't even know why people mention Air Force anymore. It's dead. Just use Lin. But it really comes, I'm not sure about Guidance because I don't see a lot of people use Guidance. It's most of the time when I see her, it's with Disarm Trap.
Oh no, I mean, like, as far as the mobility support's concerned, yeah, the Disarm Trap is very valuable, but mobility-wise, because Air is a flyer, she has some options.
Yeah.
I guess it really comes down to how much you value each of them for that, but...
Because my Air is just the big utility, I just use her for smiting at this point most of the time, but if she does fight, yeah, it's usually to pick things off. It's a bit different because Dagger is going to be a lot closer to combat in order to use Pathfinder. So,
right,
the way to play Dagger is going to be very different as well.
Right, it's a very different mindset. But it is, I guess, worth noting that if you want to res Mythic, it's between those two now.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you want to run both. You can technically run Dagger or Air and have plus 10 res. So that's one thing to note for tanking purposes.
Again, chat, Dagger gives you your 7th slot, so you have as many slots as you can field. The only issue with this is if you go against cav lines, and that's the only time you'll ever regret it.
Unless you have Saviors, in which case, who cares?
Then yeah, you don't care.
Yeah, but one more comparison, I guess.
Sure.
I'm gonna actually do Ninja Hana.
I feel that's
she's a
fair.
little more relatable to most people, I think.
That's the closest one from,
Yeah, and Ninja Hana somehow has more attack than Alm. So Ninja Hana came out not too long ago as another 176 BSD Axe Infantry. She has 1 more HP, 3 less attack, 1 less speed, 2 less defense, and 5 more res.
Yeah, that's sensible to me. They both can reach 182, so it's pretty close. Of course, Dagger is a bit quicker, a bit stronger.
Yeah, quicker and stronger. The only loss realistically is in res, which even then her axe compensates, so it's not that egregious.
Yep. But that's good news for Ninja Hana players like me. That Hana actually keeps up pretty well, and I do think Hana's going to be like a unit that I can suggest to people for like a year at least going forward. That's how good I feel about her stat spread, especially if you can give her Spurn or something like that.
Yeah. Now Ninja Hana will definitely, I mean, I guess she's the poor man's Dagger with no follow-up, and then like Pledging Axe or something. But yeah, no, Hana still holds up remarkably well, even in the face of competition like Dagger.
Mm-hmm.
So I must say, I am quite impressed with Hana.
I'm great.
Yeah.
All right.
Even if Dagger is ridiculous in her own right.
Yep.
Given that she hits the very fabled 80 attack speed spread.
Yep. 41 plus 39. All right, but real quick, are you pulling?
Yeah, whatever I can.
So for me, I wasn't set because like a lot of other people, I'm just like, eventually I think I'll have to get Dagger because it's just like, that opens up a slot. Why would you not take it? Even if you don't use her in a battle, that's extra stats. So to run another Mythic, right?
Yeah.
But the other thing was just like, well, God, it's the entire banner is so top tier because greens are solid because of Dagger, of course, but Legendary Edelgard, who I adore, and of course you have Freya, which is funny. How is she with Freya? That's kind of rude.
Ain't that a twist of irony?
Yeah.
Trying to go for the new Pathfinder Light Mythic, while Freya, the old-fashioned, straightforward Mythic, is right there, I guess.
Yep. But aside from that, Sarah being on Carlos is like such a game changer for me that I gotta go for it. And if I can get another Braimund, of course I'll be happy. And Legendary Corrin doesn't hurt. She's still immaculate in terms of being a Legendary Hero. So just 2 incredibly good colors. If I wasn't gonna commit to dual in and things didn't go my way, so I'm gonna go drop the rest of the orbs here. Hopefully get 1 Dagger. But yeah, and anything else is just great.
Yeah. That's pretty much the way I'm gonna look at it. Is I'm gonna go for Dagger. If I get one, I'm done with the banner immediately. But if I can go for Sarah as well, I will make that my priority.
Yep.
That said, I think colorless and greens are the only ones that are absolutely worth pulling for most people.
Yep.
Blue is, I think, a bit subjective, and red is very.
Blue is if do you want do so, because that's the biggest difference maker there.
Whoa, don't forget about Guinevere.
Okay, Guinevere being anti-mage is pretty cool, but do so. This guy is so infuriating. Every time I'm in Tempest Trials, I'm just like, I hope I don't run into a do so.
Yeah, no. Don't get me wrong. Full props to Guinevere, but Doozle is one of the most irritating lances out there.
Yeah, I know that. He auto-battled my team in Aetherites twice and won.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
I have literally, in limited hero battles, whenever it's Sacred Stones, I'll just use a Mystic Boost Doozle base kit and win.
Yeah, he's a great hero.
Little over-tuned, honestly.
Yeah. All right, but yeah, if you guys are pulling, good luck. But I think Dagger is an excellent hero. She is not top tier. She is not absolutely necessary for
Working
people.
on your new dark setup currently.
No, Bro Jesus! God damn it! No, no. Why? I just redid the setup. Okay, but the rest of you, good luck on the banner. I think she's pretty good. Pathfinder, it really depends on the people and how you're going to utilize it. That's where most of the values can
Just
come
have to
from.
know.
But